Well, hello there, and thank you for tuning in to the Shameless Sex Podcast. I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure product company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom, to pussy praising, to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
We are live from Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Viva Las
I'm going to
Vegas.
try my Elvis impersonation on. And share. Do you believe in life after love? It's pretty good, no?
Perfect. Very Vegas. Very Vegas. We're in the Le Paris Hotel in Vegas here for a sex toy convention that starts tomorrow.
Yes, it's a lingerie show.
It's a lingerie show, but we're here on behalf of Uberlube and Hot Octopus. Yeah.
We just did a training for a bunch of people at a store here, and it went really well.
Yeah.
We've been up since 5, though.
5:30 a.m.
I had some serious bags.
Yeah. You look good, though.
Thank you.
I just wish I could take a photo to show you all how good she looks, but she looked damn good.
And you look great in your bikini top and your meow bottoms.
I forgot my bikini, and April brought hers, and I'm definitely a little bit bigger in the breast department.
That's right, but we're going to a pool party, so that's free drinks for us, yo. Yay! After this, we're recording and then pool party.
Pool party, yes. We're doing all the things. Some work, some, this, that, a little bit of everything. So today, everyone, episode 18.
18?
Woo!
Wow, we've done a lot. Every week. We launch every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
If you haven't checked out our website, you should do it now. It's amazing.
Shamelesssex.com.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And remember, we're always here to answer your sex questions. If you feel free to email us at shamelesssexpodcast@gmail.com, or you can also submit questions or comments or, shout outs and positivity and light and energy. Yeah. There's a little form on our website. Yeah. And you can sign up for our newsletter.
Woo!
And
then also always we're on iTunes and Google Play and all those things, and they all have their own review outlet. So if you can review us on there, we will love that, because it really helps us to get the word out there and tell all your homies, yo.
And what are we drinking today? It's Vegas, so we had to get a glass of wine. Amy paid. It was $18 a glass.
Oh, $19 glass of Sauvignon Blanc. And I don't even know what Sauvignon Blanc it is.
I don't either, but it's not that good.
Well, it should better. It's $19.
We need better wine.
Like 2 bottles of shitty wine.
I know. We should have just bought some at the...
we were flying, and we didn't usually get a rental car. Anyways, long story short, we like wine.
Yeah, and we're drinking, and it's 1 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Woo!
What are we talking about today? Amy?
You guys, this is a whole... We're talking about kink, and I'm really excited about this.
Wait.
We've done...
Yeah!
Yeah! Oh!
Yeah!
Red light, yellow light, green light. Ah!
I know. I can't wait to talk about
Safe
this.
word. Sparkle bunny.
I think that I'm pretty... Overall, I think I'm fairly vanilla when it comes to kink. I definitely like a spanking. What about you?
Are you like vanilla with like a
cherry on
caramel
top?
swirl?
Ooh, maybe. What's that? Napoleon. I'm like the Napoleon ice cream.
Chocolate meets vanilla meets strawberry.
Yep, that's right.
Napoleon.
He was short and had a weird complex.
Let's not talk about him. So this is actually, it's not just kink. This is kink for beginners. So this is like based on a kind of a kink 101 class. So if you are someone who identifies as like an avid kinky being, you have your your partners, you have experience in this realm. What we're saying might be kind of redundant to you, and there might be some new stuff here too, but this is more so for the folks that are new to kink or consider themselves Napoleon.
He was a freak, I bet.
With some curiosity about kink. So this is kind of geared towards that. So this is more like Kink 101 for beginners, or like intro to kink. And we plan on doing much more intermediate kink podcast, but we're going to bring in speakers for that because we want to give you the creme de la creme. If you are one of those speakers, send us an email. I already know a number of them. We know some really awesome sex educators would be perfect for that. So anything from like rope bondage to cock and ball torture to whatever, what a piercing play. We're up in all of it. But this one, that will not be included in this one, but we would love to have that in future episodes. So if you have references or someone, or you are that person, send us an email.
Send us an email. I think Folsom's going on too.
It's Folsom Street Fair today.
I know, so this is perfect too. In San Francisco, every year, if you're not from the Bay Area or you just don't know about Folsom Street Fair, it's like a massive street fair
Like
with
Kink
all
leather
kink. Like,
fest.
people are getting whipped out in the street in like an iron cross.
On the roof jacking off, and like people below. I mean, I've just seen this once. People below like running around trying to catch it. It's like a free expression of all, and I mean that you don't even kink. We'll talk about kink too because it can be so many things. But it's wow, and they even have a competition for a Folsom Street. I think it's like King and Queen or leather, or maybe it's leather King and Queen.
There's a lot. It's a lot of queer folks, and it's pretty awesome. And it's in San Francisco, which was the heart of the movement of kink. And I've actually never been. For some reason, I'm always out of town. Or
I've been twice, and it's
wild.
Yeah, and before I actually went before when I was like newer in the human sexuality realm, so I was definitely more of like an observer. But it's definitely a wonderful place to just drop in and express yourself. So. Yeah, so shout out to Folsom.
Yeah.
So Kink for Beginners. This is kind of inspired by 50 Shades of Grey, which is like old school, right? Everyone's like, man, nah, we're done with that. When was that? Was that like 2000?
I think the
11 and 12
came out. Yes.
Okay.
Right around 2011, and then the movies came out, and then the second movie was just released,
and no one watched it.
No.
Yeah, and so.
I watched it actually. I went to the theater and it was like a Lifetime movie. I felt like I was watching a Lifetime made for TV movie. I was like, oh my God, why? But you know what? It's okay. I was supporting.
Well, and so the good thing about 50 Shades, what it's done is for the folks that had maybe some hidden desires that they were afraid to vocalize, or maybe some hidden desires that they didn't even know how to tap into, but there was a craving for something else, or maybe it's just new exposure, something new to spice up their sex lives. It really did bring this out in the forefront into the mainstream realm.
It helped the sex toy industry immensely.
Oh my God, Kegel balls were something
Kegel
crazy.
balls.
Which
When
is
I
so
worked
funny.
at Fun Factory,
the Kegel scene in there's terrible. In the book,
know.
it's like they put in the Kegel balls and she gets a spanking. She has 8 million orgasms. And
that's P.S. That is not accurate. I think we've talked about that before, but Kegel balls are worn as like a weight. Like they're like lifting weights at the gym for your pelvic floor, for your vagina.
Oh yeah, Kegel balls. Shout out Pure Pleasure. We have Kegel balls there. PurePleasureShop.com, and y'all get 15% off using coupon code Shameless Sex. PP, all caps.
And Hot Octopus does support the kink community. So if you want, everyone does, right? But you can get a 20% or 20%
Hot Octopus or
on Hot Octopus products. Queen Bee, Pulse 3, solo or duo, 20% off. I think it's 20%.
What do they use? The same code?
Shameless Sex, all lowercase at checkout.
Ooh, that's confusing.
Support me. That's my livelihood.
Yes, everyone.
Yes.
Support. Okay, so anyways, back to it. So Kegel balls, and then the other thing that the book, there's so many things with the book, but the main thing regarding kink, the book was full of a whole bunch of coercion. So there is a difference between a conversation about, hey, do you want to play and how do you want to play, versus, hey, this is how we're going to play. This is how I like to play. And if you don't play with me this way, we're not going to play. There's that. There's also like this constant, like, the woman, I don't remember her name, like Anastasia or whatever her name is, saying, no, I'm not into this. I don't want to do this. And this other guy says, oh, yes, you will be. Just you wait and see. That's coercion. That's very, very different from consent. That's very different from honoring someone's boundaries, creating your own boundaries, speaking your own wants and desires. So it painted this terrible picture.
Like, it's okay to coerce people into that. It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay to
go
push
in
someone. If someone
consensually.
gives you a no, you respect their no, unless you have a role-playing thing where they're like, hey, I'm going to give you a no, but I don't really mean it. Then you don't need to respect their no because they gave you consent, and that could be part of your jam. But in that case, there's just a whole bunch of pushing. It was like, push, 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 push. Someone's clearly like, I don't want to do this. And the other person is like, yes, you do. Deep down, you just don't know.
You need it. You need it. Yeah.
So we're not talking about that kind of kink.
No, we're talking about the right kind of kink.
We're talking about consensual, respectful kink, and that can happen in all kinds of ways, and we'll get deeper into that.
Wait, first, I want to ask you a question. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No. We're not. We're trying to slow down, not interrupt each other.
Right. Okay. We're trying to be mindful. So I won't. When you're on an education tangent, I promise to give you space.
And when you're just talking, I promise to give you space.
I do some education stuff.
No, you do have to do educational stuff. Yeah.
So I was going to actually ask you, from a personal standpoint, before we get into the 101 stuff, are you into anything kinky? What do we consider kinky?
Okay, so kink. Kink, in my opinion, is a big umbrella term that
Right.
includes all kinds of stuff. Within kink, you could throw in fetish, you could throw in rope bondage, you could throw in spanking, slapping, whatever. And to me, this is just my opinion, each individual gets to define their orientation, their preferences, and their sexual interests in what they like to do. If you call yourself kinky, no one else gets to say you're not kinky. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you get to define what it is. Now, this is just my opinion. Someone, if you hate me for that, go ahead and send me a response. Because there is a lot of things where people are like, I'm into choking and spanking. Someone like a really super avid kinky person, like, well, that's not that kinky. You're still vanilla. And that's kind of shaming.
We used to work with someone that, like, because I don't consider myself kinky, but back in the day when I worked at Pure Pleasure with you, that enjoyed like piercing and getting hanged by the piercing.
Someone else who was into that. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And I was always like, wow. And I wasn't shaming them, but I was like, I can't imagine that level of kink. Like that's some advanced stuff, like getting pierced and then basically.
You're like a suspension.
Like the suspension stuff where they pierce the back. Yeah, the back.
Like,
I don't know.
You're kind of hanging from your own flesh.
Yeah, that's some kink to me.
And we'll get into that too. But there's a distinct. Everyone, a lot of times, people who aren't aware of kink, they just think of pain.
Right.
And pain is, it can be a part of it. But for a lot of people, what you're talking about is an art form.
Right.
It is a very high tech's the wrong word, but I mean, you gotta know what the fuck you're doing.
Advanced.
That's what it is. It's an art form.
Right.
And same with rope bondage. You can do some shitty rope bondage or some light rope bondage, playing some knots here and there, but a lot of times it's an art form. It's an expression, and people are really either getting off to the expression of it, to the act of tying the ropes or hanging the person on the hooks or whatever it is, or the act of seeing it or being the person that's being tied up. There's so many things there. So we'll say that kink is an umbrella term to include all of these alternative expressions and preferences for sexuality. And I just want to say that it's, however people want to define it. So if you think you're kinky, you're fucking kinky, bro.
And there's like dominatrix out there that make like tons of money.
Yeah.
Like beating people up, which I think is pretty awesome.
Or like humiliation play, where they actually don't have to do jack shit other than talk to people like, you're my dirty little slave
and like
boy,
pee on them and things,
or not even like, I'm just gonna sit here and you're gonna lick my shoes.
That's there's something.
There's so many forms of it in terms of the profession. There's so many forms of it in terms of the personal expression of what you can do. So I want to start with some recommendations. You ready for some? I don't know. Maybe you haven't seen them. Have you seen the movie The Secretary?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
Is it porn?
So in the kinky realm, like everyone's like 50 Shades of Grey, boo. Although if you like 50 Shades of Grey, the only reason why people are not the only reason, but the main reason is just because there's a lot of coercion in it.
Well, I think like the sex education community is anti. Some folks like,
I know a lot of people that love it who are not part of the sex education
and that's okay. Like it, but the coercion aspect, is something to definitely talk about.
And it's wonderful that's inspired and opened people up.
Right. And it's made people come into sex shops. I mean, which mainstream folks like the soccer mom from Nebraska may have not set foot inside, a store until that book came out. So I want to say we shouldn't shame the 50 Shades of Grey. We understand it's not perfect,
definitely,
but if you like it, awesome. If it turns you on, awesome.
So if you liked it, or if you didn't like it, but you're interested in some spanking and that kind of arouses you, I would check out the movie The Secretary. It is older, at least over 10 years old.
Who's in it?
What is his name? Something.
You're really bad with this.
I'm so bad at the names.
Yeah.
Oh, Maggie Gyllenhaal's in it.
Oh, I love her.
Old school. So it's like it's a story. This she gets this job as a secretary. She's got this she's a cutter, and she's got some social anxiety and some depression, and
she cuts herself.
Yeah, cuts herself, and that's like her outlet for her frustration or her pain, her emotional pain. And she gets this job as a secretary. I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but essentially like enters into this kind of like kinky exchange with her boss, and so there's a lot of spanking in it, and just the buildup of it, and the way the relationship develops is really beautiful, and there's some challenging stuff in there too. So I highly recommend it. Check out The Secretary, and then book wise, The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty is also a lot of people's kind of first time book. Is out way before 50 Shades of Grey. It's very much about kind of
what is it called?
The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty.
The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty. What?
Yeah.
Did they do some kink things with Sleeping Beauty in Disney?
Yeah, I think it's I might be wrong, but so don't quote me on this, but I think it might be Anne Rice's Alternate Ego.
Oh, yeah.
And she wrote this book, and I could be wrong,
Okay.
but I may have made this up, but it is this claim of Sleeping Beauty. It's like a master slave kind of mentality with a lot of spanking.
Got it.
So like for me, I love spanking and master slave mentality in my
You love the
erotica.
dominance.
I love that shit. And I love spanking. And but like 100 pages of spanking, I got bored.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, 100 of anything, like, you got to change it up.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. For those folks listening that maybe aren't into kink or don't think they are kinky or whatever, like throwing in a spank or two or a little choke sesh is always fun to change things up. It gets the adrenaline pumping a little bit.
And we'll talk to you about that, how to like figure out if you're even invited to do that with your partner, or if that's your jam. No, you're fine. You're
right.
You're good. I'm not correcting you.
I always say, hey, spank me harder.
Choke. And then that's a clear invite.
Yes. And then I'm like, choke me a little bit.
Yeah. I like it. I want it just a little bit.
Not too much, though. I'm a bruiser.
Oh, yeah. And choking is one of those tricky things, because if someone's choking you, it's hard to get words out, right? So you really want to probably be, and it's also tricky. It's easy to hurt someone and go too far. So you want to be careful to really set up, how am I going to convey to you when it's too much? How am I going to let you know? And because the ways of expressing that are kind of limited.
Right.
Or maybe even you don't even set up a way to convey that. You set up a different kind of choking that isn't going to cut off your air passage or make it so that you can't speak. So that's
or do a hand signal or something.
Yeah, or hand
Hand
signal
signals.
or tap.
Right.
You feel a tap.
I do the tap out.
Or if I punch you in the thigh. Yeah, maybe that's consensual
That's
punching.
Nice. I'm a bruiser, though. I'd bruise my neck and my leg with that.
Well, you can also choke, like not just like not a full grip around the neck.
Right.
If you go around the base, kind of like the way like jiu-jitsu people would do, like, right? It's a little more like an art.
Oh.
So, anyways, go Google some jiu-jitsu skills.
So you like spanking and choking, or just spanking?
Okay, so I love spanking, choking. I like choking. I like hair pulling when it's done. So this is the tip for hair pulling, everyone.
You have long ass hair.
Don't grab at the end of the hair.
No.
Take your fingers, rub them close to the person's scalp as close as possible, and grab there from the roots.
Yep.
And that way you don't hurt the neck. You have more mobility and moving them around, and it feels sensual. You get the fingers rubbing against the scalp.
I love that. Those are 3 things that I'm into too.
I'm gonna do it to April while on the air.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yes. Love it.
Meow.
I have no safe word with that one.
It's just all say green.
It's a green light.
And if someone doesn't have hair, then that doesn't really work so well.
Yeah, I'm with you on the spanking and the choking.
Yeah.
In moderation, and the hair pulling.
I don't like face slapping.
Oh no.
Okay, I don't.
Me neither.
And when I say don't like it, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's not that I dislike it. It's like a 3 for me.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I'm a 0.
I taught my partner recently how to do it right, because so the way to do it is actually to, in my opinion, hold the chin. Mm-hmm. So he would hold my chin with one hand, and then lightly slap, like cupping his hand, not just like a flat hand thing, but cupping his hand, lightly slapping the just with like the pads
cheek.
of his fingers. Yeah.
Like the fat part of the cheek.
Yes. While holding my face, because if it doesn't do that, it's just like a shock to the face. The head's like, and that works, but it still isn't like my main jam. I'm still a little like,
I'm not into boob slapping either.
No tit slapping?
No. I like the booty. Booty slapping's cool. That's good.
Like a nice
cupped
palm.
hand. Or
yeah.
I can take a lot of booty slapping. I don't know. I was into, spanking in my last relationship. This one I haven't pursued it so much.
Not as much?
But I'm ready for it.
Are you going to spank or are you going to be spanked?
No, be spanked.
All of the above.
I'm the spankee, not the spanker.
Ooh.
Hey.
So wait, some spanking tips. One way I learned, one is to take your palm as if you're like cupping a grapefruit.
You taught my ex-husband this, and we use it often.
I did?
Yeah.
Awesome.
He was always like, Amy taught me how to do it right.
He's like, I know how to do this. Yes, like this or like this?
Like this.
So take your hand like you're cupping a grapefruit, holding a grapefruit, and then as you move the arm to smack, you don't use the whole body. You're actually only using the arm. So you pull the arm back and then smack with this cup grapefruit. It's when like people use their whole body to flinch that it gets a little too much, or flat hand actually hurts the person that's spanking. So you're like, wait, it felt worse for me than for you. Or one of my new favorite spanks, it's the L spank.
Oh.
So you make an L like this, like say this is my butt. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
So as if you're
Like
going to hit
upward,
it, but then you go up.
Oh,
Like a
good.
90-degree angle.
Oh, that sounds nice. You know what I love? Like the kinkiest thing that I think that I'm into, in my opinion, is this hog tie system. What?
Napoleon.
I have like my arms and my legs tied behind my back with like, and it has this hook feature in the middle. Not hook, but like a hole where you can grab it and then like
pull at it.
Fuck doggy style with that. Like that's how. And then with some spanking. And sometimes I wear a blindfold.
That's good sensory play.
Yes.
Yes. When you get rid of one of the senses, it heightens all the other ones.
Right.
Or you can get rid of two. You put in, like, you can't say you put some headphones in someone, there's music and they can't hear, and you put blindfold on them, and all the sensations of the skin.
I like that.
Get more intense.
That's great. I need to try that because I love not being able to use my hands or my legs to do stuff, and then being blindfolded. I don't know what's coming, so I think that's awesome. But the headphones could be really interesting.
Yeah.
I like that, Amy. Thank you.
Meow, chicken, meow, meow.
But that's
so there's obviously a lot of reasons why people are into kink. So we just talked about like sensory play, and then a lot of people think it's pain, but it's more that it can be an art form. It can be a way to play out some old childhood wounding. A lot of it is that playing out, like a lot of my stuff is a lot of childhood wounding.
My dad spanked me. Maybe that's why I like the spanking.
I got some spankings too.
Issues.
Yeah.
But I usually use a belt.
Ooh.
I don't like a belt anymore.
You got belted?
Yeah.
You were from the Midwest.
Oh, that's right.
Let me get the switch. And now there's people but there are people that like that
and
they're
there's
consenting
caning too,
to doing that.
Which is like a full cane, just like straight
smacking.
up.
But they're doing it in a way where they're really asking for it, and it's set up in a way that is consensual and respectful. And so it's a big difference from when you used to be caned or smacked or belted. What do you call that? Whipped? When you were
Well, I think
younger.
whipping's like the like
yeah,
that's
what do we call the belt though?
I think it's just a belting.
Belting?
Belt.
I'm gonna give you a
belt you.
Oh wait, no. There's this Simpsons episode where this teacher who's says, if you do X, Y, and Z, that's a paddling.
That's a paddling.
That's a paddling. And that's a paddling. It's like essentially if you do anything, that's a paddling.
Are you sure that wasn't Family Guy? That sounds like a Family Guy.
I think it's Simpsons.
Is it? Okay. Either way, that's a paddling.
That's paddling. Yeah, it's a paddling.
I'm gonna do that to you today. We're at the pool party. Amy, that's a paddling.
Spank me at the pool party. That's a paddling. So yeah, lots of reasons why people are doing kink. Where does it come from? What makes people kinky? There's so many things. Just kind of like what determines people's orientation. Although kink probably is more of a nurture versus nature thing. So. Past experiences, not always trauma. You can have a wonderful experience of some sort that can make you kinky. Exposure to something that just kind of sparks things, or just being raised in a really open environment where you don't identify as kinky, and someone shows you something kinky, and you're like, "Hey, I'm into that," or something deeper and intrinsic. For me, I've been a rape fantasy girl since I was 10.
Yeah,
when I saw Melrose Place, saw my first rape scene, I was like.
Oh, wow.
Why does my vagina
That was like so G-rated. I'm surprised they did a rape scene.
Melrose Place was not G-rated. There was a scene.
Oh, I was thinking 90210.
Yeah, there's probably 90210. Yeah, Melrose Place was after. See, 90210 was from like 9 to 10, or no, 8 to 9, and then Melrose Place was after, so it was like the later night. And there was a scene where there was a woman being tied up to a pole, and then her partner was there, but he was tied up by some like kidnapper dude, and the kidnapper actually raped her in front of her partner.
Whoa.
Now, I do not condone rape. I do not want this to happen to me. I was really turned on by that. I don't have any sexual trauma in my life.
How old were you?
10. I saw the scene.
Oh,
I was
snap.
like, oh my God, this is the hottest thing ever. And I would use that in my spank bank. I didn't masturbate because I was a late masturbator, but just like the
18,
the thoughts,
I remember.
Yeah, just the thoughts of it. I would just like replay it in my mind and like be really turned on by it. And I've talked to people about it since then who aren't really in the sex educator realm, that are a little bit like, that's weird. What's wrong with you? And now that I've later understood it more, it's completely
it's
normal.
not.
I hate the word normal.
I hate the word normal too. Well, it actually, if you look at like. Again, Sex at Dawn, which I've been obviously midterm. It's all about like that rape fantasy stuff. It comes from a lot of our DNA, and anthropologically speaking, because we're primates. Yeah. That's a whole thing. It's like the seed that will plant the child, because it's all like it's evolution. It's in our systems.
I'm glad you said that, because I remember when I did that podcast with Chris Ryan, who wrote that book, he commented on that, and I totally forgot about that piece, and I actually don't remember it enough to reiterate that here, but I like that you are commented that it goes beyond the nurture.
It's biological.
Yeah.
It's
there's nature.
It
goes beyond nurture. Nature. Yeah.
Right. And I think like in our nature, for the most part, we love also like things that are, and not everyone's so different, but it is a lot of the alpha male and it comes from because we're primates and DNA spreading and sharing, and it's very interesting to me. But
yeah, look in the book Sex of Dawn or just.
But bonobos don't rape, and those are like a species that we're closely linked to, but they do not ever have bonobos on record raping. But
no, chimpanzees
do.
Those fools are angry,
and like silverback gorillas. We come back.
We're talking about, yeah.
But they like we're the only, and we're so close. Like everyone thinks we're closer to chimpanzees, but we're actually closer to bonobos, and they don't have signs of rape. Actually, monogamy perhaps could be linked to why rape occurs.
Monogamy and rape.
Yeah, because we're in these societal like beliefs of being with one person and one person only.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that rape is often it's a power thing, obviously, and related to access to bodies, to sexual expression, that's definitely not an excuse, and it's coming from a deeper place. It's not like I'm horny. It's coming from a
dominance,
dominance and a lack and maybe a sense of entitlement, anger, power, rage, all of that stuff. So
humans are interesting. Yeah.
Humans are very interesting. And so like, rape fantasies and actually, doing role play of rape fantasies or having rape fantasies can be a part of your kink play as well. They'll need a lot of safe words if you're going to role play, of course. What does no mean? What does yes mean? What do we mean?
Right. So establishing, and we're going to talk about that, I think, in more detail, like establishing the communication that's like involved in having a kinky, if you want a safe but yet respectful, like doing it in the right way, which
in a good way.
In a good way.
And then BDSM. So BDSM. What does BDSM mean?
Bondage.
So we have bondage. So the B and the D, bondage and discipline.
Discipline.
Then the D combines with the S, and we have dominance and submission. Then the S and the M, they hang out together. We have sadism and masochism. So bondage, rope bondage. We know what that means. And well, you can actually do bondage outside of rope.
Like I did bondage. It was Velcro. That hog tie system.
Yeah. So the person that's being tied up somehow is either relinquishing control, or it's an art form, or a sensation play too, when the rope is touching your body and just sensation of it. Like I've seen Midori do her rope bondage workshops.
You've tied me up before, remember? Like
when I learned a chest harness thing. Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, from Midori.
Right.
Yeah,
and I have a picture, like an old picture.
It's beautiful,
and it looks gorgeous.
I don't think I can do it.
But that
anymore.
book, what's that book called? It's
the Art of Japanese Rope Bondage by Midori. There's also some other good ones by the Naughty Boys. They do some books as well that are really great. And the way she does rope bondage, when she's tying someone up, it's literally like the most beautiful scene where she's like, you see the rope just kind of wisp by. Is it wisp or whisk? Wisp?
Wisp.
With a P.
With a P.
Wisp by, and then she just like shoo, 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 shoo. And the person that she's tying up is like, usually it's someone that's into that kind of thing. And so they're like, woo, woo, and like they're really... like just it's getting their motor going. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
And then they're tied up in a way where they can't move, but it's the art form for her. It's the art form combined with this.
And you can get like silky, soft ropes. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to, yeah.
No,
you want cotton,
right? Cotton, but
there's hemp. I'm sorry, there's other ones, but you don't want to get like
the burlap rope,
like shitty old nylon.
No,
yeah, because it just doesn't feel like great in the skin. But cotton you can wash, and hemp is really awesome, really well made.
And you can get it in beautiful colors, so it's not like you can do like a red. That's what you tied me up in, red, Amy.
You look good in red.
I like red.
She consented, everyone.
I did.
So bondage, we did some bondage there. Discipline, we all know what discipline is, but discipline can come in a lot of ways, and so some people just like to be disciplined, or some people like to give discipline, so that's kind of like the power exchange there.
The Catholic schoolgirl scenario.
Ooh, or like some humiliation play.
Ooh, hey.
Yes. Like you've been a bad boy, now you've got to go sit in the corner.
I went to this porn exhibition in New York, like not too long ago. It was like all about the art of porn at the Museum of Sex. And there was like this huge movement in I think it was like the 1900s, like the early 1900s, where people, like the first photographs of like porn that were taken were Catholic nuns with priests and doing like oral on the priest, the nun. And I was like, that is so interesting to me. But there's, the whole like ruler thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like
that's like a classic.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where like the rule of thumb comes in,
Yeah.
you know, where you could only hit people. I think Catholicism brought that up with a device that was only as large as your thumb. So I never used that, the whole rule of thumb thing. I don't say that.
That's where rule of thumb
That's where it comes from.
Fucked up, bro.
I know.
I'm not down with that.
Me neither.
I don't like it unless it's consensual, then I'm down.
All right.
All right. So anyways,
Did I interrupt? That wasn't an interruption.
No, that wasn't an interruption. No,
good.
that's good. No.
Okay, awesome.
We're very conscientious of this. So dominance and submission, this is kind of like what I really like to play with. And if you've listened to past podcasts, you're probably sick of hearing me talk about this. So there's dominance and submission and then sadomasochism. I'm personally more into dominance and submission. And when you look at dominance and submission versus sadomasochism, you can look at, like, for me, if I was into sadomasochism, I would probably be a pain slut.
And you're like at bottom.
I'm a bottom, yeah.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I'm a bottom, or I could play into the slave master mentality where I'd be like the slave,
like,
or the daddy
master.
little girl, and I'd be a little girl.
Okay.
And sadomasochism is more about this sensation. So if I was a masochist, I would like to receive pain. Although there's different variations of pain too.
And you can be like a versatile, kind of like switch it up.
Yeah,
right.
play it all. I like both.
I think I'm a switch.
Yeah, you're a switch.
But I don't really not inflict pain things.
Would you even say that you're into sadomasochism, or do you like to receive pain or give pain?
I think the only thing is just like the spanking and the choking.
Yeah, so spanking choking isn't usually painful. It's a sensory deprivation. It's kind of an act of dominance.
So you
surrendering.
with your stuff.
So I am a little bit of a masochist. I have a high pain tolerance. I like when I get massages, I like it to hurt.
Deep.
Yeah, I want the painful shit. And I also like a little bit of pain in certain realms of my life. And I think spanking, I like a little bit of the pain. I like kind of like a little bit of that, like the wind being knocked out of me thing, but it has to be done very respectfully and
properly.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. So dominance and submission is a little different.
So yeah, I guess I'm not into a lot of pain. I like to experience the pleasure. And sometimes it hurts too much. I'm like,
yeah.
No, less is more for me.
Yeah. And then we can talk about the little light system here. And that's okay. So some other reasons, BDSM. We talk about power exchange. Some people like to be in the receiving realm, or like the submissive realm, where they just want a deep release. Like they're, and this could be like you're CEO of a big Fortune 500. What are they called?
Mm-hmm, Fortune 500,
where they're always in charge of everything, or even not even like you're fucking soccer mom who has to run the show all the time, be on top of her game, but she's in the bedroom and just wants to let go.
Right.
And so it can really balance our day-to-day life of what we are craving or missing, and balance. If you haven't heard about core erotic theme, it's episode 2. We talk about that a lot there, right?
We do. Yeah.
Go back there and check it out, because it can work with that too.
I have a question, or just putting it out there. Do you think, since spanking is less accepted in today's society with children, and how, especially Western world, people are raising their kids versus how Generation X, the millennials have been raised, do you think it's going to change some of how BDSM is out there? Because think about it, a lot of this stuff comes from our childhood, our experiences. Like, I don't know,
heard it like in a bad way, in a negative way.
I think that not in a bad way, but I'm saying maybe BDSM will change because spanking isn't as prevalent in our in people's childhood. Like, everyone's anti-spank. Back in the 80s when we were growing up, like people got spanked publicly.
What do we know about the Midwest? I mean, like, are people are still spanking all over the world. Like, know that's their children are getting spanked.
Oh.
And they're getting worse than that, for sure. That's definitely still happening.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. I just thought like the baby boomers and like our generation.
It's now not socially acceptable in like Western culture, but people are still doing it. But if you were still doing it and you like were in a coffee shop in California talking to your homie and you're like, yeah, I spanked my daughter the other day, they'd be like, really?
What?
Yeah.
That's abuse.
Yeah. So there's a lot more, now there's this movement for don't even push your children to like hug Uncle Bob unless they say they want to do it, because now you're teaching them they have to consent to touching other people or being touched by them, which I love. I love that. I don't like the idea of, or even Uncle Bob, let's not just say it's creepy men. Auntie Jane.
I don't know if I agree with that, because in most countries when you go to France, you're kissing on 2 cheeks. When you go to Netherlands, you're kissing on 3 cheeks. And that was hard for me when I lived abroad. When I lived like in Israel and Spain, I was always like, oh my God, I have to go in for a kiss. And I'm like I have my space. I'm a germaphobe, yada, yada. But like, it was really hard for me to condition myself to get used to that. So I don't know if that will ever be socially accepted globally. I doubt it.
So it's a little different. So say you have a 4-year-old child, girl, boy, whatever gender you want to put them in. And there is a family member or even a friend like that they see all the time, like, hey, there's your Auntie April, go give her a hug. And the little child is like in the corner shrinking, like, I don't want to. And you're like, you have to.
Oh, wow.
Because this is your aunt.
I'm always like, can I have a hug?
So there's this mentality of like, it's rude if you don't. It's your aunt, it's your grandma, it's your grandpa, it's, it's whatever. And not teaching them at a young, because you're imprinting them. If you actually teach them, you get to choose. You get to choose whether or not you want to touch. Do you feel like
giving them a hug?
Okay. Yeah. You don't want to?
I guess that's okay with children.
So I'm just thinking, teaching them at a young age to decide if they want to share their body or not. I think that's really, really valuable.
I think it's powerful for sure. I don't know if it's sustainable in most countries.
Well, no, it's definitely like a Western culture movement.
France is Western. It's USA.
Yeah.
America.
And those people that are adopting that in France, then they probably wouldn't force their little kid to go do when they're old and they want to decide for themselves to do the cheek kiss, they'll do it.
Right.
Or not. Yeah, you get to decide.
Sorry, we went off on a tangent, but
no, that's good.
It occurred to me. Yeah, I think it just occurred to me because society has changed so much. I mean, and I think probably if you were kinky back in the 50s, 60s, you didn't talk about it. There wasn't like a platform online where you could meet other kinky people. It was like more of a closeted in your home kind of thing. Even like medieval times, obviously, which is like a lot of things were different back then.
You think like Game of Thrones torture and shit?
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on that one.
Don't even.
So, anyways, we talked about why. Okay, so power exchange, release. BDSM can give an altered state of consciousness where you literally go into ecstatic states. You get sensory overload, transcendence, kind of like Tantra. In fact, the book Urban Tantra has a lot of really great overlap. This is written by Barbara Corellis, who's one of my teachers for Tantra. She talks about how really good kink can actually be very tantric in that there's a oneness or deeper intimacy with your partner or partners, and it involves this deep trust, surrender, vulnerability. It's really, really, really beautiful the way she paints that picture. And there's also worshiping, honoring. There's so many reasons why people are into these things. So there's a lot of options.
Where does the worship and that's part of the?
It's one of the ways. It's just one of the outlets, one of the forms of expression. You can be kinky without worshiping or honoring.
Okay, I got it.
But it can be something that someone like maybe someone's core erotic theme is I want to be worshipped or honored. Right. And here's one of the movies, Kink.
Right.
Episode 2, everyone. If you don't know what we're talking about. Language, everyone. So bottom is the person there things are being done to them. A bottom isn't always on the bottom. A bottom can be a bottom from the top. Like I can be a bottom while on top of my partner. But it's the person where things are being done to them. It's
not a physical location. It's more of like the
doer and the doee.
Right.
Yeah. So doee, is that right?
No, but
doer
it's okay.
And the
receiver.
Makes sense.
Yeah. It's the giver and the receiver.
Yeah. Bottom's the receiver. The top is the doer of the things. They can make the bottom do things. But at the end of the day, the bottom actually has control. If you're in a completely beautiful, consensual experience, the bottom's actually the one calling the shots deep down, even if it doesn't sound like they are.
Which also is a form of power.
Totally.
Which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, power bottoming.
Right. Hey.
And you could be a switch. You can switch it up. You can be like, I do all of these things. Communication is really important, as you've heard us talking about.
Safe words. Everyone's like, talking about safe words all the time.
It's kind of like a joke, right?
Right.
What is
it's like, what's your safe word?
Portlandia. What's their safe word? Cacao.
Oh, yeah.
Cacao. Yeah, cacao.
And we talked to Reed Mahalko on our episode about casual sex, and his safe word was orange.
Orange,
like, my safe word's orange.
Yeah.
So
Sparkle pony.
Sparkle pony.
Yeah.
Our unicorn spit.
Donkey dick.
Donkey dick. That's my favorite.
Donkey dick. Yeah. So, and safe words,
but this is all stuff you should be establishing right before.
Depending on what you're doing.
In your scenario.
I don't use safe words for what I'm doing.
I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, so my partner is experienced in jiu-jitsu, so when they're choking me, they have a clear understanding of what's safe and what's not. If they didn't, I would want to get a tap symbol down so I could tap them and let them know what was up. In terms of spanking, the way that we're doing it is just like we only get a couple spanks in. But if you're doing a spank scene with the partner where you're literally spanking over and over again for a long time, you might want to use the light system or the number system.
When the light system is
with like green is just go, like that's all good.
Green.
Well, green you wouldn't usually say unless you want to talk a lot.
Oh shit.
Like,
that's my problem.
Green. Yellow is that's pushing my edge.
So you just say it once, like yellow.
Yeah, yellow. Red is you've gone a little too far. You need to take it down a couple notches.
Okay. So it's going to continue. However, it's just giving the like red. It's not like stop. It's like, okay,
red
lesson.
Red can be red. Yeah. And then you could even go deeper. Maybe you need to do like an orange means you need to take it down a couple notches.
That would be a problem with
reeds. And a
reeds.
red is like you need to stop and we need to have some processing. I don't know. Whatever you need.
Fuchsia.
What are we going to do with that?
Fuchsia.
Fuchsia. It's like anything goes.
Anything.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's a
turquoise.
yes to everything. And then the number system too. If you want to do like just all spanking scene for 20 minutes and spank someone, you could spank them and ask them for a number, and they could just say the number. So if it's really light, it'd be a 1 or 2. If it's feeling a little more intense, maybe a 5. If it's feeling like super intense, 10. And you need to establish what was too much. So
like a 1 to 10 scale. 10 is the like stop.
8 is like your
8 is
edge,
max.
and 9 and 10 is like way
it's like
too
Thai
far.
food.
And this is a great thing if you're planning. It's like, how you want spicy?
Thai 10.
You want what level you want? And then April always orders
10.
The spiciest.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
And my
Maximum.
mouth is burning, and I love spicy.
And then she's like, "This is going to burn
great.
on the way in and out, Chip."
See, that's a little bit of your masochist.
I know.
Yeah, like spicy food.
I like it to hurt.
Yeah,
I know.
So, anyways, if you're going to say maybe this is a new partner or a repetitive partner, but you want to start adding spanking into your sexual repertoire. You could actually just experiment with this. Like, okay, I'm going to spank you a number of times. Can I? Let me ask you.
I'm going to do this.
You're
now.
going to do this. This is 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm going to do it. So, may I? Are you into this? Hey, lovely sex partner. I'd like to play with some spanking. Are you
I want
interested?
an 8.
Okay, but I'm going to play with you. So,
I'm gonna, okay.
Hi. Hey, April.
Hey.
Who my partner who I have sex with on the occasion. I'm really feeling like I'm into some spanking. What do you think about that?
You want to be spanked, or you want me to spank you?
I'm feeling like I'd like to be the spank-or.
Okay.
I like to spank you.
I like to get spanked.
Really?
Totally.
Awesome. So what I would like to just start out with is we don't have to do it like right now, but when we're playing, I can maybe start to spank you and you can give me some numbers as I'm spanking you.
Okay.
And a 1 would be it's really light and easy. A 5 would be like kind of medium perfect. An 8 would be like way like your edge, like that's as far as you can go. And a 9, 10's like you went too far. When we could just kind of play with that.
When you say it went too far, do you mean you're going to stop if I say 9 or 10?
Yeah, I'm going to stop. I'll stop, and then
what is an 8 then?
I'll
It'll
go
just
lighter,
like
or I'll also go lighter and ask you what you need. If I went too far, I also am going to be like, what do you need right now to make you feel safe again?
Okay, will you pull my hair too?
Oh yeah,
sweet.
One hand in the
I'm
hair,
in.
one hand in the head.
Yeah. What's my safe word?
Well, you're gonna use numbers. So your numbers are safe word.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I got it. I'm on it. I'm on board. Let's do this. Yeah.
8. Ah! Yeah, 8 was edge. So yeah, that's a potential. Oh, that hurts. Smack my chest, damn.
I know.
Potential conversation for doing that. And then after that, once we figured it out, now I, as the giver, have an understanding of what you're looking for, what's too much, when you need the aftercare, when we need to stop, slow down, all of the above, what's too light.
So if it's, I feel like if you're, having these, like, that's like new partner kind of talk. If you're with your partner.
You can do that with someone if it's a partner you've been for 5 years and you've never played with spanking and now you want to play with it.
Right.
Then you could do that. Or
Okay,
you have played with spanking and someone's been spanking all wrong. Like maybe you're the receiver and you're like, honey, I love when you spank me. And what I love even more is we could really like play with it and narrow it down to figure out exactly what works for both of us.
Let's use the numeral scale here.
Yes.
Let's use some numbers.
Make it a playful experience.
And then you can do like a test run, like almost like an experiment where you're like, okay, like spank me 10 times. I'll give you like numbers of hardness to softness, and
and you'll get an understanding,
right? And I think that's a good way to.
And then you can
move
add
spice
forward. So say you start to adopt spanking, and then it could be. I'm not going to say the 1s through 5s, but when things are an 8 through 10, I'll let you know.
That's good, yeah.
And so that then the partner will always know when they're at the edge and when they've gone a little too far.
Right.
So this is a really beautiful.
But it's
option.
all about establishing the boundaries.
Yes.
I mean,
and
whether
speaking
it's
them.
and speaking them, but
Yeah.
establishing them prior to going into the experience.
Yeah.
And if you're in the experience, let's say things are just hot and heavy because sometimes their communication is hard.
Yeah, we get caught up.
And you get caught up. So it's good to just take a moment and be like, hey, I love this, but hey, real quick,
And
can we establish some just some number system. Like 8 is a lot, so go with it. But when I say 8,
can we press pause and talk about it?
right, exactly.
What will work for us? Yeah, that's
Right.
great. It's okay to press pause at any point to figure out what works for both people.
Even if they're like, "Hey, my dick's
Is this
not
gonna
getting
kill the
hard."
mood? Yeah, well, we'll get it hard again. Bro.
Yeah,
It's
don't
cool.
worry, we got all the
My
time.
clip owner went down.
Damn it.
So we talked about consent a little bit, negotiation. So this is the negotiation that April just talked about, which is really great. We talked about coercion. There's a big difference between consent and coercion. And if anyone's ever familiar with Betty Martin's work, she does a lot of really wonderful work on what's called the wheel of consent and the difference between wanting and willing. And so if you're someone that's going to be playing with someone else, it's really important for you to get clear on what your boundaries are and what it feels like in your body to get a yes or no, or when a panic mode. I like to do, when I teach my coaching, I like to do these circles where I draw one circle and that's your comfort zone in the middle of that circle. And the circle outside of that is your stretch zone. And then the space outside of the stretch zone, that
no
open
zone?
space is it's your panic.
I like the no zone.
No, yeah, it's your no.
No zone. Yeah.
So like the no's not ozone, it's a no
Yeah,
zone.
it's a no zone.
And so in your comfort zone, no growth happens. It's just like, well, I go home and I watch TV.
It's like plateauing at the gym when you're like lifting weights. You don't
Same
feel
old,
anything.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
safe.
step it
And
up
so
a
it
little
will
bit,
be like when we have sex, like you rub my
Missionary.
nipples, you rub my clit, we're missionary.
Right.
And it's safe and it's not very exciting and it's not a lot of growth. But we hang out there most of the time. Stretch is where the growth comes in, the excitement. So it's like, hey, spanking sounded really exciting to me. It's a little edgy, but would you like to try it? But in panic is like, holy shit, you slapped me really hard and I'm going into a trauma response. We don't want to go into panic, and we do on accident not quite often, but sometimes. When we do, we press pause, we do some self-care or care for each other, get back into stretch or actually back into comfort at that point. And these are some really helpful things. So knowing what it feels like to navigate through those zones and knowing when you get a clear yes for something, that's like, I want this, versus a maybe could be like, I'm willing to do this, or I'm just willing to try this thing with you, versus a no. And like a no needs to be honored.
Like a hard no, hard yes.
Yes, exactly.
And that's something we've talked about so many times. And I think it carries into all these scenarios because
everything.
Right. Like a hard no to a hard yes. A maybe is kind of like maybe check it out, but for sure. If you're getting a hard no on stuff, like I would do a hard no on getting peed on.
Yeah, you would. You'd be hard no.
I'd be like, you know what? I'm a germaphobe.
Yeah.
I like ejaculate, but not pee on myself. But I'm not going to condemn you. If you want me to pee on you, maybe I'll think about it.
Yeah, it's okay. And it's okay to ask, and it's okay to, like, more than okay. Please, please, please voice your yeses and nos. Yeah, I'd be a hard no on. I would let someone pee on me, and I'd pee on them once just to try. Yeah, fecal play is not going to be my jam.
Nope. Scat.
Yeah, not my jam. No.
What was yours? What was your hard no? I interrupted.
Scat play.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I'm not. I wouldn't be aroused or turned on by having urine on me or urinating on someone else. And if it was something my partner was really into it, I would probably do it for them on the occasion. But I wouldn't want to do it as a regular.
I'd probably be like, okay, in the shower only because I don't want it on my sheets.
Yeah, there's your negotiation.
Boom.
Well,
there we go. See?
And I can wash it right off because I'm a germaphobe.
Yeah. Actually, I think I did get peed on in the shower recently.
Was it not consensual?
Rape! I was like, wait a second. What was that? It was really warm.
Yes, it is.
It was 97 degrees.
10. Red. Damn it.
Oh, man. I washed my leg with some soap after
She's like scrubbing.
I'm like scrubbing. I'm like, why'd you do that?
Urine is like mostly sterile, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so negotiation. So everything is a negotiation in a relationship with one partner, multiple partners, friends, lovers, whatever. And you are always negotiating. You might not get exactly what you want, but perhaps you can get some fun and sexy alternatives. And I highly suggest thanking your partners for their yeses and their nos, specifically their nos. When you say thank you for your no, it really helps people to feel safe.
I will not scat on you.
Thank you for that. I feel deeply respected.
You're welcome. You. I promise I'll keep my scat in the toilet. But we're not shaming scat play.
Yeah.
If you're into it.
Yeah. No, not at all. We're not shaming it at all. Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
No,
And thank
yeah.
you for sharing that you're not into it
Yeah.
either, Amy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's I actually, so when I did my sex educator training at SFSI, sfsi.org, we had to watch this whole 10 different porn clips and find the one that you're most uncomfortable with. So it's everything from like bestiality to whatever, all kinds of porn. And the one that I stared at was this close up, this woman's beautiful red, perfect lipstick lips licking a piece of shit.
Oh.
And I was like, all right. And I'd stare, I think it was like 10 minutes. I was like, all right, feces.
I think that would be really hard for me, but also bestiality because animals like that's, I don't know.
I was going between the two, but that one was the hardest for me with the feces because it just like it brings up all the stuff with like germs and like all that stuff, whatever, fecal matter, and so I just stayed there with it. And the point of doing that isn't to like make us into it. The point of it is to make it so that we notice the judgments and stuff that comes up, so that we can work with people to put that stuff aside, so that we don't put our judgments on other people. So, and
that SFSI training is something that you've done a long time ago, and that's like, what does it stand for? It's like San Francisco
Sex Information,
right?
Yeah, I did it in 2008, but they're still doing it, and they have a switchboard if you want to ask them anonymous questions. And it's all sex educators. And if you want to be a sex educator, they do training twice a year for them.
I know. I've signed up
you
would
be perfect for it. But you already have so much knowledge, but there's always room. Okay, so discipline, we talked about a little bit, but discipline's about punishment and rewards. Humiliation play, role play can be a part of that. Dominance and submission. So a dom attitude is kind of, there's different attitudes. There's like a dom attitude, a sub attitude. Dom attitude is, I want this, and I know you want to give it to me.
Ooh.
Sub attitude is, I will do whatever you say, and then this could also be part of it, but I might be a brat about it.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
You little naughty little one.
Woo! Within that, there could be a slave-master dynamic, a daddy-mommy, little girl, little boy dynamic. Animal play can be a part of it. You're my puppy.
I'm a koala.
You're my little pig.
I'm a koala.
Oh, you're a cute koala. Now do as I say.
I'm a memory of elephants. That's a group of elephants.
Oh, that's like, cool. What the fuck does that mean? If you're someone that identifies as a sub, this I learned from Charlie Glickman, actually, that there's a lot of times subs just kind of lay there and be a pillow princess.
Right, that's what I'm called.
Yeah, that's what you
by some of the women that I've hooked up with. You fucking pillow princess. I'm like, sorry.
I just want to lay in the seat.
I need to lick that pussy.
So if you're a pillow princess and you are a sub and you have a partner that really wants to also have things initiated, you can be a sub and still initiate and take control. One way would be show up in your sexy little outfit, whatever it is, naughty little schoolgirl, naughty little schoolboy, and just present yourself. Like, your partner walks in from a long, hard day. You're in your naughty little school person outfit. You just bend over and say, I've been a bad little girl, boy, whatever, and I need you to punish me. And they still get to be the doer and the doing, but you just initiated. So there are ways along those lines where you can essentially say, here I am. I've been bad. I've been good. I've been whatever. I need to be punished. I need to be humiliated. I need whatever your jam is. And here I am. Or answer the door in sexy attire and say, how may I serve you?
Ooh. The sexy maid scenario.
Or sexy maiden. No, wait.
That's maiden? No, maid.
Maid.
Sexy cleaning lady?
Cleaning person.
Cleaning person. But I'm just coming from a place of like what I would do.
Yeah.
Like cleaning.
You're from France.
French maid. I'm from France.
Paris.
Hello.
Another thing you could do is blindfold someone, so the sub person, and I'm right, vice versa. Blindfold the dominant one and tell them 3 things that you want them to do. Wait, did I say this right? Tell me 3 things. So you blindfold them. So the person that is the dominant one, so you're the sub. I'm going to blindfold you. You're my dominant, April, and I'm the sub.
Okay.
I blindfold you and I say, tell me 3 things that you want me to do to you right now.
So you would do the things to me, but I'm the dominant one.
Yes, exactly. But I'm telling you what to do, but I'm still taking initiative by taking that control and giving you the invite to tell me what you want to do. And just little things like that because it can be exhausting just always being the initiator. But like if you're sub, then it sometimes feels like
I want you to pretend you're my animal, my dog, and I want to pet you like that.
You would be the dominant, but if I'm your well, okay, that's a switch. We just switch. I mean, you can switch it, yeah,
okay.
But yeah. Yeah, it would be. I mean, you just tap into the role. Initiating.
So is it stuff that I want you to do
as the initiator? You can. So as a sub initiator, I'm saying that you don't have to just sit there and wait for the dominant person to initiate it with you. You can present yourself and say, like, I'm here for you to take advantage of, but I'm consenting to it.
Okay, got it.
In a lot of ways.
Got it. Sorry,
and
I just want to clarify.
Initiating, yeah. And so that can just take off the whole thing. Or maybe cooking in nothing but an apron and then serving your king or queen as a way of honoring or worshiping them.
Sushi outfit, sushi bikini, eat it off me.
Yeah.
Meow.
Or being when you are playing, being a brat and doing things to get punished on purpose. Oh,
don't put the wasabi near your vulva.
Ouch. That hurts. Okay, so sadomasochism, pain versus pleasure, same receptors. There's a lot of overlap there. In fact, people have been able to turn pain into pleasure and pleasure into pain. I've had people who have gone to meditation retreats and with intense back pain, and they meditate for 10 days straight, and their back pain turned right into pleasure at the end of that retreat because they meditated on it that long. So there's a lot of overlap there. We talked about breath play and choking sensation play as a part of this as well. So when you see like floggers and things and whips and all that stuff, some of it is about pain, and a lot of it is just about sensation. A lot of it actually doesn't hurt.
Right.
Like paddles, those things hurt.
And there's like the feathers that are light. And then the paddles and the star crops that leave like a mark, that like hurts. A star. Yeah. You can get these crops that actually when you spank a partner, it leaves like a star welt, or you can get them in different shapes, like a rose. So that's kind of fun, but it does sting. Yeah, I got a staph infection on my butt once after getting spanked by
pure pleasure.
Yeah, I was like
through jeans.
It just like broke the skin just enough under my pants that I was like, "What's on my ass?" I got bit.
It's probably from the stick part of it too. People usually miss and hit the stick if you do it kind of incorrectly,
right?
And then that can really hurt and break the skin. Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons why people are into this. Sensory play can be a big thing. So, and the sensations that it gives on your body beyond what we're normally doing or used to. And that's why sensory deprivation is pretty awesome, because if we get rid of a sense, so like blindfolding or hearing or both, then it heightens all the touch. And there's a really cool practice called bondage, if you guys have never heard of it. It was created by someone that lives in Santa Cruz, and it is a combination massage with all like BDSM, where it's like this ritual where you're cuffed and blindfolded, and you have this music on your earphones, so you can't hear or see anything, and you're bound down consensually to a massage table, and they use all these different like utensils and things on you.
That
to give
would
you this
drive me
sensory
mad.
Experience. I had it happen before. I was a demo model for it, and they asked me before. They're like, "So how do you feel about some light anal play?" They're having the.
Is this where you got the anal hook?
Yes.
Oh, you told me about this.
I know what an anal hook
Sorry,
is.
I didn't mean to spoiler alert, because that's a great story.
Yeah, so I said I would be a demo model for it because they're teaching another person how to do it. So there are two different women working on me, and they had a whole long conversation for what are my yeses, what are my nos, what can they use, what can they not, safe words, and there wasn't words, but it would in that sense I could actually talk in it, which is there. So there was words, but I couldn't hear or see anything, but I could vocalize. And they bound me down, and they used all these different things, and they had asked me about if anal play was okay, and I was like, sure. And I felt this like cold sensation going to my ass. It was like a stainless steel butt plug.
Right, the hook.
But then I felt this pressure of it pulling up, and there was rope already with my hands bound behind my back, and then I felt this pressure between my hands and my ass, where I was being tied from the rope of my hands to my ass, and I was like, well, I'm being anal hooked.
You're like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Well, but you couldn't. You could talk, so you could have told them.
I could have said,
right.
Yeah, I could have like read or too much or stop or whatever.
But you're just like going with it.
Done. Yeah, they're professionals.
Way to be.
Yeah,
way to take one for the team.
So
for the sake of learning, Amy. Good job.
Man, yeah.
Such a giver.
So, nipple play, I just want to say, for nipple clamps, the one thing I didn't know, and maybe you don't know this, maybe you do, was the sensation of clamping is one thing, but more so is when you actually clamp the nipples and then you take them off later. It's the blood flow coming back in.
Right. I did know that. But
I learned that later. It was kind of a trip. I was like, what? No.
Yeah, it's cutting off the circulation. That's like choking too, because it is such like it's a a cutoff of the oxygen, and then like when you actually
let go,
release, it's like and it, like there's just like something in that's like. It's almost like the power or something involved.
Yeah, a lot of it goes beyond the sensation. A lot of it is the taboo of it or the power play, and some of it is all about sensation. So it just depends on what people are into.
Right.
Fetish isn't something we're going to go too deep into. I feel like we need to have someone on the show for that. But that's usually some things, so like objects, materials, body parts.
The doctor-nurse situation. That's like a big one, I feel like, for a lot of people.
A fetish?
A fetish.
Where they're they're turned on by
like the I don't know. I've been in a dungeon before in Chicago, and there's a whole area dedicated. And I've talked to so many people.
medical play. You mean
Medical play,
Medical play,
right? Which is a fetish.
Yeah, medical play. So medical play could be anything from using a speculum to open someone's vaginal canal up,
Right.
and there's a lot of different ways of playing it. And because doctor nurse is more of a role play.
Oh, okay.
Thing.
So I'm
Yeah, fetish is more medical, but so it would be something. So objects, materials, body parts, actions that trigger sexual desire that are usually just considered alternative. And there's different versions. So there's mild fetishes that kind of enhance things,
like a foot fetish or something.
Foot fetish again. There's mild to extreme. So extreme is I only get off to feet.
Oh,
mild is I get turned on by feet, but
Okay.
extreme is I only get off to it. So there's a distinction. Or like, say someone has a latex fetish, latex clothing. I only get off to the touching latex versus latex just kind of turns me on.
Okay.
So like some people need something to get turned on, and again, this can come from so many places.
And this is just person to person. It just varies.
Yeah.
And some people may not even know their fetishes or that they
or
even
they
have
shame
them.
themselves
Or-
because there isn't
right.
a lot of room for it. What's wrong with me? I'm not normal. What's wrong with me? And that comes down to the core erotic theme, right? Like there's a thing here that's intrinsically like a really important part of who you are. And if you avoid that, you're not going to be sexually fulfilled. So the hard fetish, honestly, and this is going to trigger a lot of folks. I'm going to say it though.
I know where you're going with this.
Pedophilia.
I know. I was waiting for it. I was like, let's not.
I'm not an advocate for it. And it comes from a lot of places, but there are that's one of them. Or necrophilia, or there's fetishes. So pedophilia is people under 18 that you're into infants or young
Right.
people, and you're an adult. And necrophilia is dead people. There's a lot of things they're not consensual. You
Right.
either have a person that is awake and alive, but they don't have the age to consent of what.
And
we
that's
think
the
it should
message
be.
between also bestiality. It's like if there's no
An animal
consent,
can't consent.
verbal or otherwise, if a person isn't consenting or a thing or it's not okay.
I got into a whole argument with this on Sex at Dawn, Chris Ryan's podcast on Tangentially Speaking, which should be out soon, where I was like, and within the first 5 minutes of the podcast, I was like, bestiality, not consensual. And he's like, but it looks like the dog's into it most of the time.
Well, he has that whole thing that you showed me about masturbating
Yes,
a cat,
yeah.
like when he was
He's
like 8 years
the
old.
animal looks like, yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
That was super funny. I did laugh really hard with a pencil. It's like,
if the animal's looking happy, but I was like, yeah, but it's coercion, man. You put the peanut butter on your cock, and then the dog came and licked it, and they're into the peanut butter. They're not into your dick.
For some reason, I don't know.
Penetrating an animal,
Right.
I mean,
just in general,
I can't say yes.
no consensual sex, but pedophilia is a thing, and child pornography is a thing, and it's sad, and it's like it's an epidemic,
and rape and all these things.
I mean, but in a lot of countries in India, you can marry a 9-year-old.
I mean, you could
as soon as
any country back
in
the day,
Ethiopia. I mean, it's so we have these Western things, and you know what? I'll say this in my research: Grecians had 9-year-old sex slaves. Romans, it's always been in.
Again, we're not advocating, but it's contextual.
It's also history, and it's where we've been as a species.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
based on time.
Yeah.
It's just like a matter of perspective.
It's a perspective thing, and it's a cultural thing, and but
and how blessed are we to live in a place where there is so much on our side as privileged women, Western women, to protect us in that way. Like we are so blessed.
We're
and so
super lucky.
so fucking
I know.
privileged. It's ridiculous.
And we're not going to shame anybody's thing if they're into whatever they're into. However, keep in mind,
sex is good sex. That is our thing.
Yes, consensual sex is the most important thing, and that's the message that we'll continue to spread and share.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's a tricky thing, but that it can be, we're talking about these things that are bestiality, all these bestiality and things that are very, might not be that consensual. They can be part of a fetish and actually quite often are, unless they're coming from kind of like a sadist place, but, it's a thing. And so okay, let me just say, and I've heard podcasts about this and read books about this. If we lived in a society where we didn't make pedophiliacs, is that the right word? Pedophilia. We didn't ostracize them right away, unless, of course.
Pedophiliacs. I thought you were talking about the actual, the people.
Of course, if they cross a line, then we're going to have to do something. But say we made a safe space for people to out to the world, like, hey, so I have this desire and I know that it's not okay for me to explore it because it's hurtful and not consensual. So we created other outlets for them. Like we made it safe to create like animated images for them to see, to get off to, or whatever, instead of saying, hey, too bad. You know,
there's
so
a This American Life episode that if anybody's ever listened to This American Life, it's NPR. It's basically public radio in Chicago. They did an entire episode on pedophilia because it's a disease, and some people they're born with it. Like there's a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, like, and they did a whole interview, and it was like,
I am going to interrupt you and say that it's a disease. You're what is the word for it? Pathologizing it.
Right.
Where I want to also make some room for it to be a fetish.
Right.
So not, because disease to a lot of people is a sickness.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
But it's something that's deep inside of them.
Right. Well, it's ingrained.
They're not choosing. They're not
like addiction.
I want to have this thing.
Right.
And that was outcast.
It was actually quite. It was for me to listen to that perspective from the other side, because I am a person, as I think you are as well, that likes the whole picture no matter what. Of course, you're like disgusting, horrible. But then when you hear it, right. But then you listen to somebody that's has this.
They're like,
thing.
They're like, I didn't choose.
Yeah.
This.
And so it is like, it was, I don't know. I don't remember the episode. It was a couple of years ago that I listened to it, but it was very, it like made me look at a lot of different things in different ways, because walking in someone's shoes that's not you for a little while isn't always easy. So,
nope.
And by no way are we condoning it, but I think we should get off the heaviness of the
pedophilia.
We're a little
heavy, but just like, this is just an example of potential fetish, or there's a lot of options there. And in the world of fetish, clothing is the most common fetish,
right?
And it's a
schoolgirl,
like a texture material thing. So not really a look necessarily; it's more like a feel. But it can be
like a tutu or a latex.
Latex, something smooth, some leather. Spiky, whatever. Anal play so some people some people feel like they have an anal fetish, like they are only turned on by anal play, and everything else is like kind of arousing, but like that's like the main thing that gets them going. So again, you get to decide. All right, we're almost done, everyone. Fantasy and role play. We already talked about that. I talked about my fantasies of.
Can you be my Jabba of the Hutt and I'll be Princess Leia?
Can I be your Chewbacca?
Yeah. I like it hairy.
What's the Chewbacca noise?
No, wait. No, that's not good.
That's like an Ewok.
I can't remember. It's been a minute.
It's like a... No.
We've got to work on that. Damn
it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Send us your best Chewbacca impersonation.
We love that.
Okay, so fantasy and role play. A lot of people want to play with it. We did a dirty talk kind of role play thing. Some tips about ways to do dirty talk and role play. Sometimes just talking about what you see or feel. So this is like a dirty talk thing. I see you rubbing your clit, and I want to put my finger inside of you, or now I want you to put your finger inside of you, or just the direction of the step by step of what's actually happening.
Just describing it. Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, like right now this is actually happening. Like you're moving you're kind of like spiraling your hair and your fingers right now, and I want you to like drop the hair and just like take your finger up to your lips and suck your fingers. Deeper in there, deeper in your mouth. And now I'm going to take your finger out and start to rub it down your chest.
Oh shit!
And maybe bring it over your clit slowly.
Oh, hey. Oh wait, I'm not doing that though.
Damn it! I tried. Yeah, we got it.
Need more wine first? No.
Yeah, a little more wine. And role play. Role play is something that you can kind of play around with. The traditional was jock, cheerleader, patient, doctor, police officer. Excuse me, officer. I swear I wasn't
a man in uniform or a woman in uniform
or a woman
person.
A woman. Student, teacher. Yeah. So lastly, I want to leave you all with this. Aftercare.
Oh.
Aftercare is really big. In my opinion, if you have a scene with someone, there's a lot of intensity, a lot of spanking, choking, heightened energy, you need a lot of aftercare.
Right.
Especially the person that received a lot of that energy.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. So an aftercare looks like, what do you need right now? Ask the person that just received it. What do we both need? Like, hey, what are your needs? What are my needs?
You want a coffee, a cappuccino? You want some aloe vera?
I need to be held and just kind of pet and like just you to like hold me and be with, maybe kissing my forehead a little bit. Stroke my hair for like 10 minutes.
Massage. Like
massage.
Or like aloe vera, my spank
pussy.
marks.
Yeah.
My pussy. I don't know if aloe vera is good for the pussy. Yeah. Put some like cooling on all the warming from the play session.
Some of my least favorite kinky experiences whenever I had like some rough sex or kinky sex was when there wasn't aftercare, or there was very little, and it just felt like empty at the end. So just consider that and someone might not be into aftercare, might not be their jam.
And remember to ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Ask for it. No, people aren't mind readers. I mean, there are some out there perhaps, but I think like asking for what you want will get you there. And I don't know. That's interesting. I love learning about kink, and you're such a good teacher, Amy.
Dude, we just nailed that episode.
We nailed it from Vegas. Now we're going to go to a pool party. And we're launching
our first book. Not yet.
Our first book, yeah, soon. We're going to be recording from Europe next time.
Woo!
We're headed to...
next time is the episode with Alika.
Oh.
But after that.
But we'll be recording in October in Europe, soon. Which will be fun. And we're going to go to it's Oktoberfest. We're going to a trade show. It's going to be awesome. So Amsterdam. We're going to get maybe legally high.
Ooh.
I mean, duh. But we love all of our listeners. Check out our website if you haven't already. And www, you don't need to say that anymore, but shamelesssex.com. Give us a review. Give us a shout out. We love our listeners.
Yes, we do.
And we'll see you next Tuesday, y'all. And ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.